Buenos Dias Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know, like a motherfucking smack addict. And yes, indeedy, right now, right here, I'm about to put graffiti all over the bus, right? We're going to trip out one time for your mind in a menudo style in a direct fashion. As you can tell by that thumbnail, we're talking about Nortenos, but it's not what it always seems. See, people think we're talking about Nortenos, so we must talk about this, and we must talk about that, and this. We're not going to talk about any other man today but oneself, myself. I'm going to look in the mirror and start getting, pobres, good Lord, right? I'm feeling myself. I'm in the building like Mac Dre. Trip out, we're going to talk about myself and what made me strive to be a Norteño. What was the reasoning behind it? What did I see that made that pull me? Why did I want to go towards being a Norteño? I could have been a Crip, a Blood, but I was a Norte thug. You know what I mean? I decided to go that route and in a direct fashion based on myself. And I'm going to tell you guys my mindset at the time of a young age and why I did what I did and how the course of action led to where I am at today. Bang, bang, get ready. Buckle your seatbelt because that's good. We're taking off. And in that fashion. So, the Norte. Very dedicated. That's all I could say, man. The struggle, the strive, the cause, forever forward, man. Lead a man, it's my destiny, right? Be a man, it's what I am. Do it in a correct fashion, that's what I do. How do I do it? I do it because I does it. That's just what it be like sometimes. You know, if you don't understand that, so let's just sit down and I'll give you the game. I'll be the maestro and give you the clecha. This is what the Norte meant to me. You know, growing up in the city of Merced, California, located in the Central Valle, the 209, the Duso Nina, 209's most vicious. It was all around me. It was all around me. That city right there has my heart. That city right there was the key to it all. Growing up there as a youngster, I did everything just like any other youngster. You know, I played Nintendo. I rode my Diamondback bike. I tried to stay out late, but when the lights went off, mom was going to whip my ass. So I had to come home and either take that ass whipping or take my ass to sleep. One or the other, but it was going down. Typical kid raised in a neighborhood full of Chicanos. The neighborhood I was raised in was predominantly Chicanos. Now, of course, you had a few Gavas and you had a few Africanos, some Asians, but for the most part, it was a Chicano community and it proceeded as such. You know, typical Chicano community, oldies bumping, vatos working on their cars. You had kids riding up and down chasing the ice cream man. Hey, I want a paleta, right? And in that fashion, didn't have a dollar, but they had a food stamp. Hey, they were going to make it work. You know, of course, growing up as a kid, I did everything that every other motherfucker did. My mom used to say, get over here, right? Oh, shit. Mortal Kombat, right? What's happening, moms? Here, take this food stamp, cash this motherfucker in, get a penny candy, 99 cents back. Do that 2 times, go in and go out of the store because they don't like that. The fucking Indians, they trip, right? Go in and out of the store and give me a pack of Marble Light 100s. Orale, and in that fashion, here's the note. You know, so I went through all that, and a lot of people that know what time it is growing up like that in a Chicano community or in the ghetto, they understand that's just part of life. That's how it went down. Now, I came from a good family. I'm not going to say my family was all uppity and rich. Of course, man, we were struggling just like anyone else, but I was well taken care of. My mother made sure I had everything that I needed, and she looked out for me. I was a young kid, of course. You know, I got blessed with a great mother, and for that, I'm forever grateful. You know, but still, the intrigue of all the Norteños around me and everything that was going on, it was like a pull that I can't describe. You know, I've told the story before how I went to school and the first time I seen graffiti on the wall and it said Norte, I was very intrigued, I guess is the word. Word of the day, intrigued. I said it already a few times. I didn't know what that meant. So, of course, I went back, asked the primo. He gave me the rundown. And I said, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. He said, I thought you said you were going to be a doctor. I said, fuck that. I can make more as a Norteño. I did more time than more money I made. I'll tell you that. But anyways, that's how I felt at that time. I watched movies like Colors, movies like Boys in the Hood, all these different movies that were coming out. And I wasn't like everyone else around me that just wanted to be a Crip or a Blood because they seen fucking Ice-T singing Colors. Everybody thought they was Racket. Racket don't joke and Racket don't smoke. Racket bust the cap on the... You know what I mean? I like to get high. See that? You know what I mean? It was none of that. You know, I wasn't chasing that rabbit. I wasn't trying to do any of that. I was more intrigued by the cultura, the Chicanos in the movie. I owe you one. This is what I liked. It's me, man. Hey, Pac-Man, I'm a homie, man. I was like, hey, I'm trying to be a homie too, man. Right? And I started to hang around the neighborhood kids that wore the predominant color red, because I knew this was one of the symbolizations of being a Norteño at that time. You know, it wasn't about color banging. It wasn't about Crips and Bloods. It was about trying to fit in with the gente and being a Norteño. And as growing up as a youngster, I started to become laced. I've already talked about my tío on several spills on how he sat my ass down and gave me the game to the best of his knowledge and to the best that I would soak it. You know, not everyone soaks it at the same level, but I soaked what I could get. Okay. And every word that came out of his mouth and everything that I seen with my own 4 eyes, I knew it was at that exact moment. This was my destiny. This is what I was meant to be, a Norteño striving for the cause. Now, I didn't know what the cause was. I didn't know what the struggle was. I didn't even know what the fucking word struggle meant. I still don't even know how to spell struggle. That's how bad it was. But at that time, I was willing to do whatever I had to do. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be like these vatos with the rocha and the teardrop and all this shit. This is what I wanted. You know, I can't tell you. It's like people used to say, hey, can I get the new Mike Tyson's Punch-Out game? My mom said, what do you want? I want to rip on you. I want to rip on you. You know what I mean? This is how I was. Of course, she said, shut the fuck up, puto, right? Take it to your room. But still, I would get one anyways. So growing up and developing in that environment and in that gang-infested neighborhood, I went that route. You know, I went that way. There was nothing that could detour me. Wasn't my mother. Wasn't no fucking friend that fucking wanted to play fucking marbles. Nobody can detour me from what I was. And I did just like other kids do, man. I ditched school. I hung out with the wrong crowd. I was part of the wrong crowd, if not the leader, leading the crowd to breaking into houses, stealing bikes, stealing cars. I'm not trying to incriminate myself, but I did a lot of shit, right? I was involved. And this is all leads up to becoming a gang member. Not necessarily a Norteño, but a gang member. Of course, I got jumped into a neighborhood gang of audio and decided that for no other reason, I was going to become known as the craziest one in the hood. I was going to establish my name and gain my respect, because this is what was told of me and this is what was indoctrinated into my mindset. You got to stand out above the rest. You got to be cut from a different cloth. You can't be right there stagnant with everyone else and blend in. So I was scared. Is your name Blender? Charlie. I don't want no fucking milkshake. Get up there and fucking make it happen, Captain Crunch. And I intended to do that, and I did to a certain degree. You know, so I started to become a Norteño. And of course, doing that, I started to hang around with older homies who were giving me all this game, man. And I was soaking all this game. And of course, I'm not a baboso to just soak everything and be like, oh yeah, that's yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, nah, beat me to boop, boop, boop. That's how I heard it. It was like the fucking Charlie Brown thing. Wah, 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 right? It went in one ear and most of it came out the other. But what were jewels, what were diamonds in the rough, I did soak, and I have downloaded in my CD-ROM to this day. My mind is full, and in that fashion. But I kept proceeding to do it, and I elevated my thing up. And I was known in my town as someone who not necessarily was the best fighter in the hood, but would fight anybody. You know, I was never going to tuck tail and run. I was always going to stand my ground, 10 toes to the ground down, and handle my business. You know, and what we used to have in the neighborhood was a thing called Friday night fights. Vatos used to fucking, even homeboys, man, hey, let's chunk them, homies, let's get down. You know, we do it for no other reason than to just do it, entertainment, and at the same time, the older homeboys thought it was funny, and then we thought it was cool because we showed heart. We were willing to get down, and it just all worked out. So I was thinking sometimes you had a little bit of a black guy that didn't work out, but everything else did. And things like that, man. And I'm saying things that I know a lot of people from neighborhoods and barrios could identify. But this kept pushing me towards being a more solid Norteño. Now, I didn't know about politics and prison and CYA and juvenile hall, nothing like that, because I was very young. But I would come to find out very quickly, this is what entails becoming a Norteño soldado. This is what entails becoming a real righteous individual according to the gang's rules and regulations. Now, I'm not here to deter anyone. See, that's not what this platform's all about. This platform's not about stopping gang banging. This platform is not none of that, man. If you want to do that, ponle, homie, handle it. I respect you for your fucking call, because guess what? Everyone's entitled to their own opinions and their own calls in life. You know, if you want to be a fucking doctor, be one. If you want to be an astronaut, be one. If you want to be a skante warrior, I don't suggest you be one, pero if that's you, go smoke fentanyl over there or something. Me, myself, I wanted to be a Norteño, and that's what I became. Okay? So I don't detour anyone from their fucking way of life. At the same time, I'll just give you the harsh realities of what can happen. What I'm here doing right here on this platform is hoping to unite the raza, people that necessarily wouldn't have talked in the past, just to have a place where they could come and enjoy each other's company, meet, Sasuke, maybe listen to an oldie, drink a pisto, and say, damn, this motherfucker Gunny's funny. This motherfucker funny than a motherfucker, right? Things of that nature. That is what I like. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to slander anyone's name, defecate on anyone's character, talk frivolous talk, bullshit you, lie, scam, cheat, steal. I do none of that. Everything I get on my own merits. Everything that I say I've done, I've done. That's facts. That's actual and factual. Homeboy, this right here will give you the actual smacktual. I ain't fucking playing about my issue. So Trip, going back to Nortenos, I started to get older, a little bit colder, bolder. Shit was on my shoulder, and I decided, and for no other reason, I should start hanging around with just a little bit of a different crowd. Maybe some of the older homeboys that could give me a little bit more game, because I was seeking knowledge and education. I wanted to know exactly what the Norte entailed, because I wanted to be a righteous soldado. I was willing to put it all on the line, and I was a true believer in the Norte. Didn't quite yet know the cause yet, but still was a true believer in that red paño and what I stood for. You know, I loved the Huelga bird. I loved the symbolization. I loved seeing 14s and XIVs on the wall. I didn't love spray painting walls and putting them there because that wasn't my stilo. But I loved when I cruised by with the bigger homeboy in the car and there was a Huelga bird on the wall. I would say, Simon, don't work part of that. Didn't do that. Don't, but I would. You know what I mean? And in that fashion. So they started to lace me up. And of course, it didn't take much time hanging around these older guys than to get caught up in a 187. And I did. You know, I got caught up for the cause because I was a believer in the cause. And I was laced up that Sureños were the enemy, Southsiders were the enemy. Didn't know why, but that sat real heavy on my heart and heavy on my mind. Being a Chicano and loving my brown people and my brown skin, as you could tell, brown and proud, right? It didn't sit well, but I knew it was something that must be done if I was going to strive in a northern fashion, and I was committed to that to the fullest. So, of course, I got caught up. You guys all know the story. It's all over YouTube. And I end up going to fucking juvenile hall and then from there to CYA. Okay, and in CYA is where the whole game changed. That's when my eyes were open to, wow, it's not all about 209 in Merced and the immediate areas. There's homeboys from everywhere. I met homeboys from Sanjo, Fresno, Salas, Sacra, Tula County, Gilas, Grifas, Castro, Watson, Stockton, Modesto, everywhere in between time. In the meantime, San Fran and Oakland, stand up. I thought you guys were doing your things too. Even EPA. Yes, and in that fashion, right? Vatos were gangbanging to the utmost and to the fullest, and everyone had a little bit of a different stilo, because when you come from a different area and a different city and a different region, everyone got a little different flavor, and I started to soak all that too. Okay? I deciphered what was good and what wasn't for me. Not saying that it was all bad. I'm just saying I was different. And I started to do that, and I started to love the cause more and more and more. And I remember my Fefita coming to visit me at Visita. She said, Mijo, why are you always getting caught up? Why every time I come, you're in the oil? I try to come, I drive all the way from Merced to LA, where I was incarcerated at that time, in Fresnilles, Whittier. She goes, and you're always on lockdown. You're always in the caja. You're always in the oil. What's going on? You need to calm down, Mijo. You need to relax. I'm concerned, right? And I said, Mom, it's what I got to do to preserve my safety and security, not only for me, but for my homeboys, right? She said, stop worrying about your homeboys and worry about yourself, Baboso. Ain't no one else worried about you, but what she didn't get was we were all we had. These were my brothers in arms. These were my camaradas. These were my carnales. These were my hermanos. These were the homeboys that I knew would go to the dirt with me if we had to, okay? And we did. And that's why I'm proud of being in YA, and that's why I'm proud of the homeboys that I met there, and that's why I'm proud of the historia and the way that we found put a foundation down for the other homeboys that ended up going to Nellis. Now, if they fucked it all up, I can't call it like an alcoholic. I wasn't there, homes. But while I was there, man, we did what we had to do, and we strived together. That was the struggle. That was a true struggle. Now, becoming an Norteño, you have to go through a struggle. You go through a lot of struggles, right? And that was mine. My struggle was being down in enemy territory in their backyard, homes, and handling my bizwax, right? And in that fashion, this is what I did. But my mother was telling me at Visita, she said, Mijo, why do you do this, right? Do you love the Norte more than me? And I looked at her and I said, Mom, do you really want me to answer that? And I was truly in my heart dedicated to the cause. See, when you're dedicated that much to something, you love it above all else. No, I know that's not a great way of thinking. You know, but people are like, this fucking baboso say he loved the Norte more than his mother. I didn't literally say it, but in my heart I was about to. But then my mom gave me that eye of the tiger, and I knew it was done. With the belt, and I said, yeah, I mean, I love it, but you know what I mean? Hey, can you ask another question? Right? And I didn't want to fucking speak on it no further. And she already knew what time it was, and it broke her heart. And for that, I'm forever trying to make up for that. But I put myself in that situation being a little gangbanger, and I was going to continue it because quietly as it's kept, I liked it. I actually loved it. I fell in love with the game. I fell in love with everything that it entailed. Even when I'd get battery packed, stabbed, hit from the side, snaked on, I would go to the oil, get in my cell. When I'm by myself, I go, it wasn't that bad. Wash my face and pace back and forth until they let me out of the oil so I can get my run backs. This is what I did as a soldado. This is what the mentality was at that time. I was striving to become a better, stronger, meaner, vicious Norteño. Because this is what I was always taught we did. I always was told that we were the minority group. I was always told that we were the oppressed group. I was always told that we'd probably coming up short. I was always told that a lot of homeboys would fall off in our midst, but the real ones stood strong. We were cut differently. And I wanted to be one of those ones cut differently. I wasn't trying to fucking fall from the way. Oh, my heart, my neck, my earlobe. You know what I mean? Hey, oh, fuck. Right? I wasn't trying to be one of those. I was trying to strive. And yes, I might take a scrape, a burn, a cut or two. But at the same time, man, I was going to give out just as much as I was going to get. And that's what I intended to do. And that's what I did for many years. About a 20-year career or plus. So anyways, I worked my way all throughout CYA, and everybody knows that story. I don't want to keep telling it over, but I did my thing, and I became more educated in the game, more educated in the plight of the Norte movement, okay? As I got out, I continued to gangbang. Now I was a little seasoned. I was looked at differently because I did time in CYA. At that time, I was one of the only homeboys from Merced, from Dead End, that was in CYA, other than my homeboy Baby and a couple other homeboys that went later on. I was one of the first ones there, though, and then they came later. So I had a good reputation. I had a good name. I had already had a body on my belt. So I smacked someone's whole shit backwards. And none of that shit's cool. I'm not trying to fucking glorify it. I'm just saying this is how I felt at the time. My mentality and the way I was thinking was totally wrong. I thought I was big, bad, somebody fucking not to be fucked with just because of the things I did in the past, which was basically done out of peer pressure and basically done out of fucking not really knowing what to do. It was either me or him, you know, when in reality, it could have been neither one of us if I'd have just fucking opened my eyes and did the right thing. But I didn't, and so now we're here. So, of course, doing all this stuff out there, running amok with the homeboys, running and gunning, started getting into the D game, things like that. I got a little bit more violent. I got a little bit more vicious. I got a little bit more to the point where I just didn't give a fuck. And I was striving to go to prison. I wanted to go to the penitentiary. I wanted to see what that next level was, because all the Norteños that had been in prison were telling me, hey, it ain't that bad, homie. You go in there and you give up for the cause. And I had done it already for fucking almost 7 years in CYA. What was another few years in prison? Now, I didn't know. My way of thinking back then was I can go do a little time in prison. Nowadays, they'll cross you out one time, one and done. One strike, you're out. Hey, what do you mean? Don't I get 3 fucking strikes? Charlie Holmes, this is the streets, homie. You get one and done. Fuck that. You know what I mean? I don't want to play baseball no more. Can I play soccer? Over there, the goalie will block your shit too, and then we're going to sit you on the bench. I'd rather be on the bench than one and done. You know what I mean? Get a splinter in my ass. You throw my. Well, fuck you. Oh, boy. Right? But this is how it was. So as I went to the penitentiary, I went to prisons, different yardas, different times. I didn't become disenchanted or disenfranchised with the organization or with the way things were going. If anything, I strived harder. You know, I got involved in removals. I got involved with La Casa. I got involved with the household policies. I got involved and indoctrinated and educated into things I didn't know. I wrote the essays. I did the burpees, push-ups, oh my, and pull-ups. Oh yeah. I did all that, right? Everything that entailed being a Norteño soldado and being a soldado for the, you know, the Casa, I did. I made certain sacrifices, you know. I didn't get visitas because I was always fucking on lockdown, or we were always on lockdown for something or the other, right? And these are hardships, you know, hardships. You try to maintain mainline eligibility, and at the same time, you're always in lockdown on the mainline. So it was kind of a catch-22. But this is what I did, in and out of the oil, in and out of certain situations, getting out of prison, getting right back in the mix, getting involved with the regiment, becoming an NR member. These are all things that I did in life. Okay, where I started to become disenfranchised, and I'm speaking on myself. I'm not saying it so anyone could say, oh shit, that's not cool. Where I started to become disenfranchised, man, is when I started to see homeboys falling up by the wayside. You know, there a word popped out of nowhere, DOs and dropouts, and I was like, what's that? And you know what I mean? The guy dropped out of high school, so I was expensive. He could go get a GED right there. It's only $30. So I think even they're at the college, they're doing it free right now. Wait up. Yeah, you go that way, right? It wasn't that. Guys were falling by the wayside, meaning guys were falling off from being gang members. They weren't going back to their neighborhoods. They were doing something with their life. And I looked at it as betrayal, treachery, treason, bandidos, babosos, putos, right? This is how I looked at it. When in a way, some of these guys didn't do nothing wrong other than say, you know what? I'm cool. I put in my work. I did what I felt I had to do. This is not for me going in and out of prison. I want to have kids. I want to have a wife. I want to go to Disneyland. You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck Disneyland. Homie, there's North there, nothing else. Nah, homie. It's Mickey on mines, right? And they did the Mickey thing and they micked on out of there. And I felt that they were basically traitors to the cause. Okay, and some people right now watching this still believe that. They honestly believe that. They're like, them vatos are traitors. They know what they signed up for. Do you know what you signed up for? Is the question. You'll find out one day. I promise you. Everyone does. They get their time to shine. And it's not a bad thing or a good thing, man. But it's a thing that will happen. So be prepared. You know, you're gonna need to be. You know, man. Make sure that culo is fucking primed and ready because you will be hooping big things. Bang bang. Right? Woo! It ain't no joke. No jokey joke. So I started to become disenfranchised, but not to the point where I was like, oh, I'm going to drop off. I just was hurt, man. I was hurt because people that I called my canales, people that I had a lot of love for, people that I would have died for in the past were falling off. You know what I mean? They were falling off the wagon. So that's what? The garbage wagon. They were gone. They were disappearing on me. And I continued to strive and continued. And of course, you guys all know my story. I ended up going to prison on another term and ended up on a wrong yard. Not a bad yard, a solid, righteous general population yard where Nortenos wanted to be using hard drugs. There was no one there to say not to. We all knew better. Those of us that knew better knew how to do better. But there was a few people that were put in position where you couldn't question it really. And we were going to have to roll with the flow. Now, me, of course, being outspoken, being the way I am, and being as dedicated to the cause as I was, and fucking studying and doing those bonds from top to bottom to a T, I wasn't going to conform to that. I was going to question it. And I did, and it got me in a wreck, and I went out swinging. New Jack swinging. Orale, Pookie. He be calling me, man. He be calling me, right? I went out New Jack City style. Put it down like Nino Brown, and that was that. Well, I was put in a position where I was not ready to stop banging Norte. But I was always already disenfranchised a little bit. So sitting there in that cell, pacing back and forth, knowing that my career was over, I put myself in a bad situation. I could have justified it by trying to fucking stand strong and be on walk alone and trying to get my get backs and all this. And at one point, man, that crossed my mind. But then at the same time, I said, man, maybe I do that. They get me on the yard and they just whack me anyways, right? I'm not the type to keep going to the yard and getting whacked and whacked and whacked. You call me what you want, a punk, a sucker, whatever. I call myself smart and not a baboso, right? And so I wasn't trying to do that. What I was trying to do was say, man, where did we go wrong? Do you know how much blood I shed? Do you know how much times I bled? Do you know how much fucking visitas I missed? Do you know how much cantina I didn't get? Do you know how much times I fucking stood starving in the oil? Do you know how much fucking time I didn't have deodorant and the whole fucking cell was smelling because I was in there for 15 days for getting jumped by 2 Southsiders? Do you know how many times fucking when the federals were getting off on the homeboys' homes, I went and fucking handled my business? Do you know how many times when the homeboy fucking Dreamer was stabbing the homeboy Chino, I jumped in and fucking smacked and handled my business when I didn't even have to? I could have turned the left cheek with the right cheek and did it spinning. Charlie, Holmes, I made a lot of sacrifices because I knew what I signed up for and I knew what I was about. So I felt betrayed myself, and that really disenfranchised me and made me say, you know what, fuck it, Holmes, la primera. And that's why I do what I did, and I did what I do, right? And in that fashion, I don't know if that made sense, but it did to me. So I kept it pushing. At the end of the day, that's what being a Norteño was to me. A man that could stand on his own 2 feet. Okay, a man from Northern California that could stand on his own 2 feet and know when to hold them and know when to fold them and do it my style. You know, I'm not going to fake a heart attack. I'm not going to roll it up and ride a kite. I'm not going to say, guard! Hey, guard, like your shit. Yeah, why don't you take off your... Hey, chip out. No, I'm not here for good times. Hey, I need to go because I don't want to bang no more, right? No, I didn't do none of that. There was none of that coming out of my cell. What came out of my cell is me, myself, and these motherfuckers right here, and I handled my business. Now, I know it was a violation. Red on red is never a good thing, and I don't condone it or promote it at all whatsoever for no other reason. But I felt that I was backed up into a rock and a hard place, and I did what I did. I'm not justifying it. It was wrong. I know it, and it fucking just happened. Bang, bangs. Dispensan la tira. Con permiso en la tira. But I went out like a man on my own shield. I went out like a man. The way I came in swinging is how I went out. And that to me is what being a Norteño was. It's not about being a gangbanger at the dictation of people you don't know and listening to this. This is not what strayed me away from it. I loved the organization up there and the way they did their thing, their rules and regulation. I loved the militant style. I loved the struggle. I loved all the hardness and the fucking and striving and forever forward. I loved all aspects of that. But at the same time, what I loved more than anything else was the true Northern cause. And I know the true Northern cause meant by no means necessary was I to violate them rules out there. Now, I know I violated one rule. You said, well, you didn't want to violate those, but you violated these. Well, I was already in the position where I was going to get stuck anyway, so I had to violate something or I was going to get violated. You feel me? And that was not going to happen. Bang, bang. You know, I ain't trying to go out like that. But that was my career as a Norteño, you know, in a nutshell. And every Norteño was different. Everyone has their different reasoning behind it. Everyone had a little bit of a different upbringing within the Norteño movement. But that's what I was, and that's how I became a Norteño. I truly still love the cause. I truly still love the gente. I truly still love the people. I joke around and I clown about the youngsters with their tight-ass fucking TikTok pants and the fucking what do you call it? The Grinch Who Stole Christmas curls in the front with the long shag in the back. But at the end of the day, homies, strive. Do your thing, man. Ain't no one else gonna do it for you. Do I love the gangbanging aspect of it and how people get caught up in these youngsters do life? No, I absolutely don't love anything of that. I don't want to see none of my raza or nor gente, period, man, doing time. It's not a good look, man, and it's not what I want for you. But at the same time, you're a grown man and you're gonna do what you do because that's what it is. Anyways, man, I hope that you move fast with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, man, it's all about struggling and striving and forever forward for your familia, for the raza, for the gente. Let's unite, homies, and kick back, drink a pisto, and ugum, bugum, ugum, bugum, ugum. Now, baby, yo, cash in, yo. Orale, Brentwood. You don't know how to spell Brentwood. I don't, pero I like it. Bang, bang, the gun.